The theme that I wish to share with you in this presentation is what Chilean universities are doing to close the gender gap in engineering programs. Something we are doing very slowly, really. As you can see, Chile has a population over 19 million people. Women represents 50.7% of the population. In the latest version of the World Bank's Women, Business and the Law 2020 report, which analyzes inequalities in 190 economies based on these eight indicators. One of its conclusions is Chile ranks below the regional average for Latin America and Caribbean, and well below the high-income economies of the OECD. Also slightly above the world average, Chile obtains a score of 77.5. The gender gap is not only a moral or social issue, but it's also an economic dimension. A study by the consulting firm McKinsey indicates that if there were gender parity in the labor market, the overall GDP of economies would increase. According to this study, labor parity would represent a 20% increase in Chile's GDP. Even through female participation in higher education in Chile is equivalent to male participation, even slightly higher, really. 53% was the average for the last 5 years. When separating by area in STEM, and particularly in engineering, very low figures of female participation are observed. Here you can see the percentage of enrollment in engineering programs in 2018. It was 17.4%. And its variation with respect to 2009 was negative. Similar figures for female engineering graduates, 16.9 in 2017, and his variation with respect to 2009 was also negative. In some engineering programs, on average of 70, 80, and 90 of male participation is observed. 10 years average values between 2007 2017. Data from my own university, a Frontera University, Engineering and Science School, updated to 2020, average of the last years. You can see figures do not change. Engineering schools have developed plans and strategies to attract more women to enter engineering programs. But the imbalance in engineering in Chile is enormous. To change these figures, concrete action in favor of women applicants to engineering programs are required. In recent years, 2019, 2020, 2021, some engineering school, only a few, hopefully more schools will join, have implemented special admission system for women to engineering programs. In the special admission system, special quotas are guaranteed for women, and other aspects or attributes of female engineering applicant are evaluated in the selection process. Something very important in that the new criteria and quality standard for the accreditation of higher education institution published by CNA, National Accreditation Commission, in October 2020, and which are currently under analysis, incorporate gender equity in a transversal way in the definition of accreditation criteria and standards. This is very important in order to generate the space that female STEM talent deserves in Chile's higher education institutions. That is what I want to share with you. Thank you very much.
It is my honor as the STEM Fellow at the U.S. Department of Education to participate in this phase 2 of your workshop focused on STEM education for females. But first, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say that we must stop Asian hate. So carrying on, I have a lot to cover in 10 minutes, so pardon me for speaking so quickly. I will provide some context to the U.S. K-12 education system. Let me make sure my slides are moving. Great. I will also give you a snapshot of K-12 STEM performance, a look at women in higher education STEM fields of study, some federal efforts to support females in STEM, and some promising practices to consider moving forward. First, I'll provide some background. The U.S. education system is very decentralized and subject to numerous influences, including federal, state, and local policies and funding streams. STEM content standards and assessments vary from state to state. There is no economy-wide or federal curricula like STEM+. What is actually taught and how it is delivered are not mandatory nor uniform across schools, districts, or states. Non-governmental influences include teacher preparation programs, local school boards, nonprofit STEM programs, business interests, textbook publishers, teacher preferences, among others. The U.S. schools are funded by local property taxes, state revenues, and federal formula and discretionary grants. Figure 3 here on the left illustrates what portion of local property taxes are dedicated to school funding by state. So you can see by the colors, there's a lot of variation. And gaps occur between wealthy neighborhoods with high property values and low-income neighborhoods with low home ownership rates. State and federal funds attempt to level the playing field by targeting resources to high-need and low-income schools. But it is important to note that the federal share of the funding or funding from the U.S. Department of Education constitutes a mere 8% of all education revenues and expenditures in the United States. The U.S. teacher corps is primarily white women, especially in the elementary or primary grades, where little science is taught and teachers often exhibit math anxiety. Male teachers are more prevalent in high school or secondary grades, and particularly in the STEM subjects. Research suggests that girls can be intimidated or discriminated against by these male instructors. And at the university level, even female faculty show a preference for male students in the STEM fields. These factors all contribute to decreased motivation in females to pursue STEM education and careers. So let's take a look at our K-12 performance given these factors. Our National Assessment of Educational Progress is administered by the Department of Education, and it's a sample survey issued periodically to provide longitudinal data for educators and policymakers. The results for math, the top red line, and our two newest assessments, science, the black line, and technology and engineering literacy, the green line, only been administered twice, have remained relatively flat over time. Interestingly, the new assessment around technology and engineering literacy showed that 8th grade girls scored higher overall than their male counterparts in both practice or skills and in content. That was only given in the 8th grade. We know, so this shows that we know that females are capable and can be successful in both technology and engineering. So let's take a look now at women in STEM and higher education. For context, our U.S. population is closely split between women and men, 51 to 49%. So when we look at the percent of college degrees on the left side of these charts, you can see that women are highly represented in the social sciences, on average earning more than half of all bachelor and master's degrees in these fields. But as we move over to mathematics on the right side, women are still earning a high number of bachelor's degree in mathematics, under 50%, which is their population, but still clearly showing that they are capable of attaining higher level degrees in mathematics. However, when we move to physics and computer science, you see a tremendous gap in female representation in degree attainment, hovering around just 20%, or 1/5 of all degrees. The same is true in engineering. While the raw numbers are going up, the percentages for engineering degrees awarded to women are still hovering around 20%. I want to share a quick comment about gender wage gap in the United States. Currently, on average, U.S. women earn about 81.6 cents for every dollar that a man makes. The National Committee for Pay Equity, which is a non-government organization, started calculating and promoting Equal Pay Day to spotlight the gap between men's and women's wages. For all U.S. women, that day was yesterday. In our economy, women have to work 3 months longer to equal what men earned in 1 year. For our Latina sisters, that Equal Pay Day won't come until October 2nd. Please note that in engineering and computer science occupations, the gender pay gap is smaller. Here, women earn 86 to 95% of their male counterparts, but Black and Hispanic women in STEM still earn only 62% of a white man's salary. So it's clear that these STEM fields are lucrative and provide better equity for women that are able to attain it. Next, let's look at some factors contributing to these disparities. Cultural factors contribute to and perpetuate the STEM gender gap. I think we share this across the globe, unfortunately. Bias exists in our homes, in our classrooms, and in our workplaces. It's a vicious cycle. Male-dominated workplaces can be difficult to attract and retain female coworkers. Young girls, especially girls of color, have few role models to inspire them in film, TV, books, etc. We do see some movement in this area, however. Finally, math anxiety in the largely female teacher workforce rubs off on their young female students. How many times I've heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm no good at math." Now, we would never say, "I'm no good at reading." So for some reason, being less capable in math is a socially acceptable norm. The inequities across STEM disciplines in higher education and the workforce are not the result, though, of gender, racial, or ethnic differences in abilities. Instead, research demonstrates that such differences exist for women and girls in their perceived sense of belonging and the perception of future success in STEM, beginning in the middle school years. And for those women that are successful in STEM careers, they often suffer the imposter syndrome, always questioning their capacity. So what can the federal government do? Legislative efforts in the United States to help women have focused primarily on anti-discrimination and smaller targeted programs. The Equal Opportunity in Education Act of 1972, commonly referred to as Title IX, prohibits discrimination based on sex in any education program that receives federal funds. While best known for its influence in sports and scholarships, it's also applicable in STEM participation. It does not allow for any preferential treatment or quotas noted by my predecessor from Chile, but and in the past, some universities had tinkered with quotas for racial equity in the 1970s, but these were eventually struck down by the US Supreme Court. So we are very much, on a level playing field. However, we must deal with these societal biases. We have several grant programs at the Department of Education that support racial and ethnic minorities in STEM, but none are designed specifically for females. Each presidential administration has supported a variety of programs and policies to support females in STEM, but in my personal opinion, these are not large-scale efforts and are, I guess I want to say, lip service.
Patti, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you make a brief conclusion about your presentation? Because of the time limit. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yes, I tried to speak slower than when I timed it.
No worries.
While various administrations in the White House have attempted to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, including that of women in STEM, there's been some effort around prohibiting sexual harassment in federal laboratories, and some of the other science and STEM agencies have created initiatives to pursue more women and young women to pursue careers in their communities or in their agencies. And finally, the Department of Education has a rigorous evidence-based education research initiative to discover methodologies to support girls in math and science. And so these are focused on understanding that STEM is not an innate skill. It's something that can be learned, and with practice, anyone can get better. Teachers must provide constructive feedback Rather than saying, "Oh, Sally, you are so smart," you should say something like, "Your efforts in studying and practicing are really paying off." So you're emphasizing the practice and the skills and not the person. And also providing role models are very important. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the outsized role produced by our friends in the non-government sector. There are numerous organizations that you can Google to see how they are making efforts in the after school, out of school, and the classroom space to engage more women of color to consider careers in STEM education. And I did note a couple of resources in the slides for your reference, and I look forward to any questions you may have. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Vega and I work at the University of Guadalajara. The topic I will present is the participation of upper level students in the diffusion and scientific development. First, the University of Guadalajara is the second largest university in Mexico. We have 6 campuses in the metropolitan area and 9 multi-programmatic campuses in the state of Jalisco. In addition, a virtual university system with a coverage of 100% of the regions of the state. The university is the founder of the Guadalajara International Book Fair, the second most important book fair in the world, and the first in the Spanish language. Previously, in 2019, Ms. Irene Gómez participated in the topic Academic and Technological Equipment Strategies to Promote STEAM Profiles in Taipei. But in the University Center of Tonalá, CUT, we have 4 student projects which have to do with the diffusion and technological development on campus. These projects are led by the students of STEAM careers, such as energy engineering, nanotechnology engineering, engineering in computer science, and postgraduate course in water and energy. These projects are the UDG Mexican Society of Materials chapter, the Student Energy at UDG project, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Student Branch CUT UDG project, and the new US Google Developer Student Clubs UDG projects. Now I will explain each one of them. The first student project chapter of the Mexican Society of Material CUT UDG is a project led by nanotechnology students, in which students have participated in several conferences presenting their research on advanced materials. Since the teachers who participate with these students are the mostly researchers, then their research itself becomes the scientific development project. We can see photos of this Congress and the presentation of papers in Cancun, for example. The second student project is Student Energy at UDG, founded in 2018, where the students seek to lead events throughout the western part of Mexico in order to open a channel of knowledge and communication among students from all over the world. Also, to create agents of change that will make the vision of a sustainable energy future. In the area of the energy engineering, students participate on one of the strengths and dissemination of the SDG, Sustainable Development Objectives. In the photographs, you can see the participation in the Energy Fair, in the Talent Land, and as part of the 5 International Congress of Water and Environmental. The third project, student project, is the IEEE CUT, a student branch founded in January 2015. It is 19, excuse me. It is a project in which all STEAM majors and postgraduates of the CUT participate. The stronger word of this student project are the conference and workshops, in addition to the Women in Engineering projects, in which the participation of women in engineering is encouraged with talks and visits to high schools by female students. Finally, The fourth student project is the Developer Student Clubs of the CUT-DSC, founded in August 2020. This project was born during the pandemic, so the activities have been given virtually and by engineering students in computer science. They have currently made 4 talks, 1 event, 2 courses, and have competed in Solution Challenge by Google. The next video, which 3 of our students talk about their experience.
Hi, I'm Dillian. I'm part of Community University Students Power by Google Developers. The goal of these groups is giving students the opportunity to collaborate with each other in multidisciplinary teams to develop technologies and projects to improve our community. In my experience as the only woman who is part of the core team at my university, it has been to see that there are still more cracks to be broken in my country, for more women to be part of projects in computer science and engineering. To mention that in some classes is only 1 woman in a class of 40 students. This year, Kutunala and I, as a woman studying engineering, we have as a mission to invite and motivate more women to be part of our team these years and the next few years, because all can learn to program and be a part of this world of technology. No matter if we are women or men, we all have the ability to create new things.
Hi, my name is Perla. I'm studying energy engineering in Cutonala, and it's a pleasure to be here. Currently, I'm an active member of Capítulo Estudiantil de la Sociedad Mexicana de Materiales, student branch of the Mexican Society of Materials, and also of the student branch of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which has a specific affinity group, WIE, Women in Engineering. Its purpose is to highlight the challenge you have to overcome as a woman to get success in these scientific areas. Also, I have had the opportunity to be student representative in the Honorable Council of Universidad de Guadalajara. With these resources and through different events like workshops and talks, I'm trying to give young girls the boost that they need to get into these areas. Today is very special to see that with these and different actions, more and more people are getting closer to these scientific groups to make a difference in our community.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marta Ulloa Ramirez. I am studying the 6th semester of Engineering Nanotechnology in Cutonala. I am the president of the Division of Engineering in the same center. My first approach in the word STEAM was in the secondary school in the robotics club, when I had the opportunity to participate in a global competition in Louisville, Kentucky, United States. But today in the university, I am the team member in the Mexican Society of Materials, Young Scientific Society, and Solar Ciencia, a means of Latin American outreach which is dedicated to journalism and dissemination of knowledge, scientific, technological, and innovation. Also, I have the opportunity to participate in the International Hard Space Program 2019 and NASA facilities. For these things, I am sure that in the STEAM world, the gender and the age doesn't exist. Thank you for your attention. I am very excited.
Well, as a conclusion, I can be identified that the students are do all the magic and win. The teacher are only guides and tutors of their projects. It is observed that participation of women in STEM areas is already 30%, considering that lone female students continue to participate in the project and motivate more girls. This will allow them to become more and more involved in STEM areas. Student projects are very important since they allow the creation of collaborative networks in this global world, as we are doing right now. In addition to our female students, one of them from the Student Energy is working in the State Energy Agency. 2 of our students from EAAA CUT are about to enter the national system of the searches, and one of them from the Mexican Materials Society is a student already a postdoc. Well, thank you for listening.
Good morning or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here and listening to this presentation. Today, nobody doubts about the fundamental role of science, technology, mathematics, and other STEM areas In Peru, it is hoped that students who graduate from the basic educational system can understand and investigate the natural and artificial world using their scientific skills to improve their life quality and nature care. However, the National Council of Science, Technology, and Technological Innovation reports that the percentage of professional women dedicated to STEM areas is around 34% of the total number of professionals registered. This situation reflects that in our country there are still gaps in the professional training of women in these areas. Today I'm going to present a joint effort of 3 different departments of the Education Ministry of Peru. This is a Department of Regular Basic Education, Department of Teacher Evaluation, and Department for the Promotion of Wellness and Teacher Recognition. About Department of Regular Basic Education, since 2016, the National Education Curriculum was approved. This has different changes in the development of science and technology at schools. That means that now it is focused on science inquiry. That means that students should know, understand, and use scientific procedures to build their science knowledge. And also science literacy. That means that students should understand the world that is around them and understand the way the scientific community think and produce knowledge, and also give different alternatives of solutions according to what the local community, region, or world need. Through this pedagogical framework, teachers should develop on their students the following curricular competences. Investigate using scientific methods to build knowledge. That means that students should problematize the science inquiries, collect data, evaluate and communicate their results, and also improve the curiosity, amazement, and skepticism. Explain the physical world based on knowledge about living things, matter and energy, biodiversity, earth and universe, the causes and the relationship between the phenomena and the implications of that knowledge too. Design and build technological solutions to solve problems according to what are the needs of the community and based on scientific, technological, and local knowledge, put into creativity and perseverance. Also, the curricular proposal for basic education in Peru has a global perspective where competences are highly articulated and it's oriented to gender equality. That means that both men and women have the same opportunities and conditions to learn, and also oriented towards sustainable development. Also in Peru, there are a teacher evaluation system. This system contributes to the improvement of public education by carrying out transparent, reliable, and relevant evaluation processes to identify the best qualified teachers to get into the public system or to be promoted, and also encourage teachers in the reflection about their teaching process or teaching practices. Since 2013 to 2019, 30 evaluation processes have been implemented where 400,000 teachers has been evaluated using this system. This system has 4 types of evaluation, as you see in this picture: teacher evaluation performance process, director's evaluation process, teacher evaluation access process, and teacher evaluation promotion process. These presentations have some preliminary conclusions about only 2 of them: teacher evaluation access process and teacher evaluation promotion process. These 2 types of evaluations have 2 common phases. Phase 1 is a national test of multiple choice questions, and the second phase is a class in a public school and an interview to access into the public system, or the evaluation of the professional experience documentation. This is to promotion. About the national test of multiple choice, it has 2 domains: general pedagogical knowledge, that refers that teachers should know about general pedagogical aspects such giving feedback, generate cognitive conflict, develop social skills, and gender equality, and of course sustainable development, and other general approaches too. And about a pedagogical content knowledge, its domains refers to the knowledge that the teacher should have about biology, chemistry, physics, and other areas, and also how to improve on their students' different learnings using approaches such as acquired science literacy, the integration of the area, and problem-based learning too. From 2015 to 2019, and about two types of evaluation process, as I said before, these are some preliminary conclusions about access process to the public teaching career. The number of female teachers applicants is still higher than the number of male teacher applicants. There is no significant difference between the percentage of approved females and male teachers. This is from 2015 to 2019. The percentage of female teachers who obtain a place in the public teaching career is around 80% less than the men teachers, but we observed that in 2019, the percentage of female teachers who obtain a place in the public teaching career was higher. About the no significant difference between the percentage of approved female and male teachers, this is for the three different subtests: reading comprehension, logic reasoning, and of course, content pedagogical knowledge. And for the promotion process, we observe that the gap is reducing. The gap between the number of female teachers and male teachers who apply for the process is reducing now. The percentage of female teachers who pass the national test is higher for 2019. There is no significant difference for 2015 to 2018. And the percentage of female and male teachers who are promoted into the public teaching career is the same. Also, I'm going to talk about some actions from the Department of Teacher Recognition. Since 2013, the Education Ministry of Peru organized a national competition called Best Teaching Practices. This is to identify pedagogical and school management practices carried out by teachers in their different roles to improve the learning of their students. In its 8th edition, this national competition has identified 355 best practice carried out by 1,135 teachers or directors of public education institutions, and of all of them, about 90 has been recognized as best teaching practice in STEAM areas. Also, in 2020, the Education Ministry of Peru has created the National Observatory of Best Practices and Educational Innovation. This is a virtual space where teachers can generate or promote professional learning communities and also get inspired by the other proposals. Today, I'm going to talk about just about 4 of them developed by female teachers in STEAM areas, such as time for research and experimentation in the highlands of Peru. Victoria thought it was a great idea to have an extra time to develop science activities apart from the normal schedule. They have classes of science and schedule too, but once a week, all the educational community involved in science activities. In the highlands too, Ms. Yuli developed a best teaching practice called Inquire Scientifically. She set up a meteorological station in collaboration with her students and local academic institutions. The students collect data from their measurements and thought it was a great idea to broadcast it using the local radio because they live in a farmer community and they wanted to help the production life of this community. Also, students discovered the relationship between temperature and people's respiratory disease. Ms. Edith Huertas wondered how to make her students consume healthy foods that their community produce. So she, in collaboration with local academic institutions dedicated to STEAM areas, organized different actions where students could identify different nutritional properties of the local plants and discover the relationship between these plants and the treatment of a respiratory disease. Finally, Ms. Liliana identified the accumulation of solid waste near the institution and decided to catch the opportunity to develop scientific and mathematical skills on their students using disused objects. As you see in the picture, they use a broken balloon to understand about geometric form, volume, area, and also take care about the environments too. If you want to check for more information, you can visit the following websites of the Education Ministry in Curriculum, Teacher Evaluation System, and Best Teaching Practice Observatory. This is my contact information. Thank you, everybody.